There certainly has been a lot of talk about this plant lately, but why? Why is marijuana such a hot-button issue? And why are the opinions about marijuana so scattered? With medical marijuana being such a popular issue in the media these days, I thought I'd look into what the fuss is all about. I started with talking to some folks in Georgetown and Round Rock to see what they think about all this.
For medicinal purposes, should be allowed and recognized by the government because it's proven through scientific studies that it is effective in treating a lot of ailments that conventional medications cannot treat.
Well, if it is a medical reason and they're using it, well then I guess I don't have a problem with it. Where I guess I would have a problem with it is if they're using marijuana and then they're getting out on the streets and driving and what have you, and then affecting people, maybe having wrecks and what have you. It'd be the same way as driving under the influence. I'd have a problem with that. But if they're doing it recreationally in their own home and they're not hurting anybody and they're not getting behind the wheel of a car, well then I guess I really wouldn't have a problem with it.
The medical marijuana, the jury's still out on that one. Could leave a lot of room for abuse.
I think if there is a medical benefit, just like any drug that you have to have a prescription for, if you have a prescription, I guess that's good. I don't think it should be legal for anybody to have it just because it will, hinder you driving and it's a danger to other people.
I don't have a problem with anybody doing their drugs in their house or whatever, as long as they don't do it outside and kill someone driving.
Decriminalizing it for specific purposes, medical use is, I believe that is just fine. I know that people sometimes need alternatives to regularly prescribed drugs, and I don't see a problem with that. I think there needs to be regulation as far as its use outside of the medical realm.
As far as the medical uses of it, I'm all for it.
There are cases where people will go and say, well, I'm stressed out. Okay, you can get marijuana. Mm-hmm. And so then it's a game being played, and it's a scam on American society, and that's, I don't think that it's any value in it.
I'd have to read up more on it, get a little more information myself, but I think a lot of people do get it that shouldn't be getting it.
13 states since 1996 have passed medical marijuana laws. These laws, however, do not protect patients or doctors from prosecution from the federal government. And the DEA raids of medical marijuana dispensaries have been well publicized. I want to talk to some experts about this.
It's totally unacceptable. The states that have legalized medicinal marijuana, the federal government comes in and arrests them anyway. Sometimes the people are sick. Sometimes they're using it for helping them when they're getting chemotherapy or they have AIDS, and it's helpful to them. And the state overrules. They shouldn't overrule. Marijuana, for instance, had been legal in this country most of our history. And now the states are just fighting back and saying, look, we should have the authority to say this. So in a way, it's bringing back the issue of how much authority the states have, and is there such a thing as states' rights? There's really not much left of the whole issue of states' rights, but since they capitulate and go along with the federal government doing so much, when it comes down to this one issue, the precedents were so well set that the federal government rules with an iron fist.
Keep you free and clean. Now you wear your skin like iron. One of the good things I think about electing our president is that he promised before he was elected that when he got in there, he would make the federal government stay out of the state business and let the states handle their own drug situation. And I think that would solve the problem if he would do that. So we're waiting.
And what about that? President Obama recently invited the nation to participate in an internet town hall meeting. People could write their questions on the White House website, and other folks could vote on which questions they wanted the president to answer. Overwhelmingly, the questions with the most votes were about some form of legalizing marijuana. The president, however, didn't give the response millions wanted to hear. So we talked to Josh Schimberg of Texas NORML. NORML is the national organization for the reform of marijuana laws, and Josh is the Texas executive director.
With the marijuana arrests reaching an all-time high in 2007, it was over 870,000 people in the United States that were arrested for marijuana offenses. Texas, on an average over the past several years, is anywhere from 50 to just over 70,000 arrests, marijuana-related arrests, and about 90% of all of those arrests are for possession only.
There's big money in prisons. You know, you pass a law where you can arrest everybody and then build prisons for them. And the prison systems are doing well.
Yeah, privatization of the prisons, you know. Yeah. If you got a prison, you got to have prisoners.
I think Texas is, if you look at all the people in the prisons in Texas, I think it's first or second, if it were a country, in the whole world. And it's related one way or the other to drugs. Some of the people are involved in violence with drugs, but only because drugs are illegal.
There's so much vested interest in the propaganda that's been going since the 20s and 30s about marijuana.
There's been so much propaganda that's been put out by the federal governments, by state governments. It started in the early 1900s, and it got even worse in the 1960s and 70s with the Nixon administration. He commissioned a study on it, and the commission came back and told Nixon that there was no legitimate reason to have marijuana criminalized, and 2 weeks later, Nixon declared all-out war on marijuana and all the other drugs.
While awaiting the results of the Schaefer report, marijuana was to be temporarily listed as a Schedule I substance, putting it in the same category as heroin, LSD, and Quaaludes. When the results of the Schaefer report did come out, he titled it Marijuana, a Signal of Misunderstanding. Schaefer made many recommendations in this report, one of which said, quote, "Neither the marijuana user nor the drug itself can be said to constitute a danger to public safety." Another suggestion was, marijuana's relative potential for harm to the vast majority of individual users and its actual impact on society does not justify a social policy designed to seek out and firmly punish those who use it. In a recorded conversation President Nixon has with his friend and entertainer Art Linklater, the two compare alcohol to marijuana, in which Art Linklater says, "A person sits down with a marijuana cigarette to get high." President Nixon replies, "A person doesn't drink to get drunk, a person drinks to have fun."
The, quote, war on drugs was a bad war, and it's been a failure, and they should stop the madness, you know.
The federal war on drugs and the prison system, the expenses involved, we spend hundreds of billions of dollars. Not only is it harmful to those people who might benefit by taking something like marijuana when they're very sick, it's very, very expensive and clutters our courts, causes so much more crime. So with our government now in bankruptcy, this would be a good time to think about saving tens of billions of dollars by not pursuing this war that has not worked.
This is over a weed, and not only that, it's medicine to a lot of people. And they saw how well prohibition of alcohol worked, and this is what's happening with marijuana right now. So it seems a bit insane.
Yeah, but you know, there could be a blessing in disguise on the economy problem that we're having, because they might start thinking realistically about growing cannabis and growing hemp.
And hemp, yeah.
And tax it, regulate it like you do cigarettes and tobacco. That's going to happen. I don't know whether it's today or 100 years from now, but it's going to happen.
On April 2nd, Ron Paul introduced to the House of Representatives the Industrial Hemp Farming Act of 2009, which would give states the rights to grow hemp legally if they chose to.
I just think people should be allowed to do the things they want to do if they don't hurt other people. And if they risk their own health, that's their business. Some people still smoke cigarettes, you know, and that's very dangerous. A lot of people still drink alcohol, including most members of Congress who get hysterical over the fact that somebody in California might be using marijuana. I mean, it's such a hypocrisy.
Literally an estimated almost 100 million Americans who have tried marijuana at least one time in their life. And to say that all of these people are criminals, which include the last 3 presidents of the United States.
Politicians are basically afraid, because if they say it, then their opponents will say that they're promoting drug use. We're not promoting drug use. We're saying that it should be available to those who need it, and people shouldn't go to jail.
Texas has 2 bills in the current legislative session that deal with marijuana: House Bill 902 and House Bill 164. House Bill 902 would lower the penalty for possession of 1 ounce or less of marijuana to no jail time and a max fine of $500. And House Bill 164 would essentially legalize medical marijuana in the state of Texas by protecting patients with a doctor's prescription for marijuana and protecting doctors who write these prescriptions from prosecution. If this is an issue you feel strongly about, it is very easy to contact your representative and let them know if you are for or against these bills.
I just encourage anybody that cares about this issue to talk to people about it. You know, don't be afraid to talk about it. That's part of the reason why we're still stuck in this never-ending cycle, because there's always been the fear in the public of being locked up because Nixon declared all-out war on drugs and said, you do them, you're going to go to jail. People get scared about that. But the fact of the matter is, if you're scared and you don't speak up, then you're just going to keep getting trampled on, and your civil rights will continue to be taken away. So, I mean, talk to your family members, talk to your friends, get people motivated, and at least contact your legislators and let them know what you think about it, because that's the way that things are going to get changed in Texas.